My parents cut me off after I married a school teacher, saying, "You'll never have a good life." But they celebrated my sister's wealthy husband. One day, they walked into my office, begging, "Please save us." I just smiled and said, "I was raised in New York, right outside the city. My parents had money. Not billionaire level, but comfortable. My dad was a lawyer, owned a firm with two other guys in White Plains. Mom didn't work. She pretended to be a socialite. Volunteered, planned fundraisers, always dressed up like she was going to be seen. She lived for other people's opinions. We lived in a big colonial-style house in Rye. Brick driveway. Manicured lawn. My mom loved showing it off. She hated anything that looked ordinary. I have one sibling. My younger sister Claire. Blonde hair, soft voice, perfect posture. My mom used to tell people Claire was made for success. She was quiet and easy to mold. She smiled a lot. She didn't talk back. I was not like Claire. I was the older one. The difficult one. I liked books more than dresses. I asked questions. I pointed out hypocrisy. My mom said I embarrassed her. I wasn't loud or rebellious. I just wasn't fake. That was enough. From early on, Claire got everything. I wasn't deprived, not in the traditional sense. I had food, clothes, school. But emotionally, I was a ghost in that house. Claire would get new outfits every month. I'd get my school uniform replaced once a year. Claire got a car at 17. I shared with my mom, and even then she told me not to be seen too much in it. My dad didn't say much. He went along with whatever my mom said. He never stood up for me. He barely acknowledged me unless I did something logical or academic. Even then, it was more about how it made him look than any pride in me. When I was in college, I met Darren. He was getting his master's in education. I was studying business. We met at a coffee shop where I used to do homework. He smiled at me when I dropped my laptop bag. That was it. He helped me pick it up. Started talking. We clicked. Darren wasn't flashy. He didn't wear suits. He didn't come from money. But he listened. He asked about my dreams and remembered them. He didn't interrupt. He treated waiters like people. I knew pretty early that I wanted to be with him. When I told my parents, they acted like I'd announced I was moving to a war zone. My mom looked horrified. Like she was physically in pain. A teacher, she asked like it was a disease. "You're smarter than this," my dad said. I remember sitting in the kitchen while they tried to convince me to rethink the relationship. My mom literally said, "You'll never have a good life if you marry someone like that. People will look down on you. That's just how the world works." Claire had just started dating a hedge fund guy named Jeff. He was the exact type my parents drooled over. Polished. Rich. Dull as drywall. But he wore expensive watches and said things like, "We're looking at new investment strategies," like he was curing cancer. They loved him. My mom called him a real man. My dad offered to connect him with people. They didn't care who he was under the surface. He had money, and that was enough. When I told them Darren and I got engaged, they went quiet. My mom said, "Don't expect any support from us." And she meant it. I mean that literally. They cut me off. I had a modest savings account and a half-full IKEA dresser. That was it. They shut down my joint credit card. They removed me from the family insurance plan. My name disappeared from any inheritance talk. The last thing my dad said to me before the wedding was, "Don't come crawling back when this falls apart." Darren and I had a simple ceremony in a park. His mom cried. My parents didn't come. Claire didn't either. She texted me a week later and said, "Hope it went well. Sorry, Jeff had a thing." We moved into a one-bedroom in Riverdale. Not bad, but tight. Darren was making around $49,000. I worked temp jobs until I landed something at a logistics company doing order processing. It wasn't fun, but I got good at it. Money was tight. Sometimes scary tight. We had ramen nights, shared a subway card, patched clothes. We didn't travel. Our honeymoon was a walk along the Hudson and dinner at a burger place. But we were good. We were happy. We respected each other. No one had to fake anything. Meanwhile, Claire got married at the Plaza Hotel. Actual Plaza. Ice sculptures, a band, plated lobster. I wasn't invited. My mom told people I was going through a rebellious phase. Jeff and Claire moved into a $6 million condo in Tribeca. He bought her a Porsche. She posted photos of her walk-in closet online like it was a showroom. My parents went to dinner with them every week. My mom bragged about them at every fundraiser. Darren and I just kept living. Slowly, our lives started to shift. I got promoted. Then again. I took classes on Excel, got certified in supply chain analytics, started leading teams. Eventually, I got poached by a larger company and became a manager. We bought a modest home in Terrytown. It wasn't huge, but it was ours. Darren stayed in teaching. He loved it. He wasn't trying to climb ladders or impress anyone. He just wanted to help kids. I never told my parents how we were doing. They didn't ask. But I sent them an email on our 10th anniversary. Still married. Still in love. Still doing okay. No reply. Claire didn't either. Then everything changed. Jeff got caught up in some serious financial crimes. Not small stuff. Fraud. Misuse of investor money. I don't know the full details, but the SEC came down on him hard. One day he was hosting cocktail parties, the next day his face was on CNBC with the words, "Federal investigation," under it. Turns out my parents had invested heavily with Jeff. Like, a lot. My dad moved their entire retirement portfolio under Jeff's advice. When the house of cards fell, they were part of the collapse. Claire lost everything. The condo was gone. The cars. The credit cards. Even her handbags got repoed or sold. I heard someone say they were spotted shopping at a Target in Jersey. My mom must have felt like she was being forced to live in a horror movie. They sold their house. My dad's firm pushed him out. He wasn't charged, but the association was enough to end his career. One day, I'm sitting in my office, corner office, downtown Manhattan. Floor-to-ceiling windows. My name on the glass. I worked hard for that. My assistant buzzes in. "There's a couple here. They say they're your parents." I didn't say anything for a second. Then I said, "Send them in." They looked worn down. My dad looked like he hadn't shaved in a week. My mom, who never wore the same thing twice, had a blouse I remembered from a Christmas 10 years ago. Claire wasn't with them. They sat across from me, unsure. My mom didn't make eye contact. Dad finally said, "We're not proud to be here. But we don't know who else to turn to." They told me everything. Jeff's crimes. The lost money. The lawyers. The debt. My dad used the word devastated twice. My mom said they needed help. Financial help. Not forever. Just until they got back on their feet. I looked at them. Really looked. These were the same people who told me I'd never make it. Who erased me from their lives. Who threw their support behind Claire and Jeff and treated me like a failed experiment. And now they were asking me for help. Because the man they praised ruined them. Because the daughter they cut off had quietly built something real. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't cry. I didn't even gloat. I just said, "You made your choices. So did I. And mine worked out just fine." Then I opened the door and said, "I have a meeting in 5 minutes." They stood. My mom looked like she wanted to say something. But she didn't. They walked out. I sat down. I didn't feel happy. I didn't feel angry. I just felt done. Later that night, Claire called. She was crying. Said she was sorry. Said she didn't know what Jeff was doing. Said she needed help. Just temporary. I asked her, "Did you ever speak up for me? Even once? When they cut me off? When they pretended I didn't exist? Did you ever say my name in that house?" She went quiet. I told her I hoped she figured things out. But it wouldn't be on my dime. That was 5 years ago. I haven't heard from them since. And I'm okay with that. A year passed after that last call from Claire. I didn't think about them much. Not because I didn't care. I just had enough. Sometimes when you spend years being ignored, your brain builds a wall. You stop expecting anything. That's where I was. The wall was up. Darren and I were doing well. His nonprofit for underprivileged kids was starting to gain traction. I helped with strategy and connections. We were invited to speak at a few education panels. Life was good. Steady. Simple. Then one day, my cousin Olivia reached out. We weren't close, but she always had the family gossip. She messaged me, "You should probably know Claire's in trouble. Big trouble." I didn't reply at first. But she sent another message. "It's not just money. It's serious. Hospital serious." I called Olivia. She told me Claire had been in a car accident. She was driving for Uber at night to make ends meet and crashed into a divider on the Palisades Parkway. She wasn't drunk. She was just exhausted. Fell asleep behind the wheel. She broke her pelvis, a few ribs, and her wrist. She didn't have health insurance anymore. The hospital bills were piling up. My parents were living in a rental basement unit in Yonkers, barely scraping by. They were trying to start a GoFundMe but hadn't gotten traction. Then Olivia said something that stuck with me. "She's not like she used to be. She's humbled." I think she finally sees it. I didn't know what to do. I didn't hate Claire. I hated what she allowed. What she watched happen. But lying in a hospital bed, broke and broken, it was hard not to feel something. I didn't visit her right away. I sent flowers. No note. Just flowers. Darren didn't pressure me. He just said, "You'll know when you're ready." 3 weeks later, I walked into that hospital. She looked small. Not just physically. Everything about her seemed dimmer. Her makeup was gone. Her voice was soft. There was a cast on her wrist and a metal frame on her leg. She tried to smile. "Didn't think you'd come," she said. I sat down. She didn't start with excuses. She didn't blame anyone. She just looked at me and said, "I messed up. I let them treat you like dirt. I let Jeff become everything I thought I wanted. And now I've got nothing. She started crying. I didn't cry with her. But I didn't leave either. She told me the GoFundMe didn't even hit 1K. My parents weren't coming. They were embarrassed. Too proud. Too useless, in my opinion. I paid her medical bills. Not all of them. Just enough to keep her from being dumped on the street with metal rods still in her leg. I didn't do it to be a hero. I didn't even tell Darren at first. I just did it. Because sometimes you want the person who stood by and watched to see what real help looks like. A month later, Claire moved in with a friend in the Bronx. She took a desk job at a community center. Still limped a little. Sent me updates once in a while. Nothing dramatic. Just made it through the week or got a new book from the library. Then the next twist came. My dad showed up at my office again. Alone. Older. Grayer. Thinner. He had an envelope in his hand. I thought it was another plea. But it wasn't. It was a lawsuit. Apparently, one of Jeff's old investors had filed a civil suit against associated beneficiaries of the fraudulent assets. Somehow, because my parents had knowingly gained wealth through his fraudulent activities, they were named in the suit. And since their assets were gone, the plaintiffs were digging. They thought maybe Claire had funneled money. They wanted to pull her financials. And somehow my name showed up too, probably because I'd paid some of her bills. I wasn't being sued. Not yet. But they were trying to drag me in. My dad said, "They think you're hiding assets. That you were part of something. You need to clear this up. Fast." I didn't say anything. I just stared at him. He looked panicked. "I know we've had our differences, but this is serious. We could go to prison." There it was. The truth. He didn't care about me. He didn't care about what they'd done. He cared about prison. He cared about losing the last shreds of dignity. I told him to leave. That night, I met with a lawyer. Not just any lawyer. A litigator. Someone who handled financial attacks like this for breakfast. We pulled every receipt, every transaction. We showed where the money came from, where it went. We didn't know a cent. I had paper trails so clean you could eat off them. But the damage was done. My name was in public filings now. People saw it. My company's legal team had to be informed. HR flagged it as a monitoring case. It didn't hurt me, yet. But it put me under a microscope. I was furious. Furious at Jeff. Furious at my parents. Furious at Claire for bringing all this rot into my life again. I told Claire what happened. She cried again. Said she didn't know. Said she was sorry. This time, I didn't comfort her. This is what happens when you spend years looking the other way. One day, it all comes back. And it doesn't care who gets caught in the blast. The case fizzled eventually. My lawyer crushed it. But my name stayed in the system longer than I liked. That alone was enough to make me rethink everything. Darren and I started looking at moving. Quietly. Out of state. Somewhere calmer. Maybe Vermont. Maybe Oregon. Then, just when I thought things were calming down, I got a phone call. Blocked number. I answered. "You don't know me," the voice said. "But I know everything about your family, and I have documents you'll want to see." I didn't say anything at first. Just held the phone and listened to the silence that followed that voice. It was a man. Calm. Measured. The kind of voice that knew it didn't have to rush. That had leverage. He continued. "Jeff kept things. Records. Insurance policies. Bank logs. Side accounts. Transactions your parents pretended didn't exist." My throat tightened. "Why are you calling me?" I finally asked. "Because you're the only one who didn't have your hands in the mess. You paid off a hospital bill, that's it. You're clean. But your name's been floating through the wrong circles lately. And not everyone believes you're innocent." I stepped out of my office and into the stairwell. Closed the door behind me. "So what do you want?" "Meet me. Tomorrow. No lawyers. Just you." He gave me a time and a location. Midtown Diner. One of those places that hasn't changed since the 70s. Then he hung up. I didn't sleep that night. Not really. I laid next to Darren and stared at the ceiling, counting every mistake my parents ever made and every one I was about to make by showing up to that meeting. But I went. He was already seated in a booth. Late 40s maybe. Wore a windbreaker and had a leather folder on the table. He didn't introduce himself. Just said, "Your sister's ex kept files." Not in his office. At a storage unit in Red Hook under a fake name. He made copies of everything. Probably leverage in case someone turned on him. He slid the folder over. I didn't open it. I looked at him. Why me? Why not the police? Cops don't care about financial debris. This stuff? It's off the books. But if someone wanted to make a mess for you, this would be enough. So what do you want in return? He smiled. Nothing. Jeff burned a lot of bridges. Too many. I knew him once. I owed him a favor. Now it's paid. Then he got up and walked out. I opened the folder. It had Claire's signature on 3 offshore transfers. Dated back to when she was still living in Tribeca. There were emails between Jeff and my dad, talking about diversions, tax shelters, and something called Plan B. My mom's name was on one. She forwarded a bank log and said, "We'll keep this one separate from the trust, just in case." There were also insurance documents. One of them named me as a beneficiary on a life insurance policy worth $850,000. I stared at that line for minutes. My name, my address, signed by Jeff, dated 3 months before his arrest. I made copies. Then I locked the originals in a safe deposit box. Next day, I hired a forensic accountant. Paid him under a business retainer. I didn't want any personal connection. He analyzed everything. Took 2 weeks. When he came back, he said, whoever these people are, they were laundering more than just stolen money. They were moving cash through nonprofits, shell companies, even a fake daycare in Jersey. I recognized one of the names. It was Claire's. Not recent. Dated back 5 years ago when she was still married. I asked him, is this enough to get her in trouble? He looked me dead in the eye. If the wrong person sees this, she could go to prison. I felt a wave of something heavy and sharp sit in my chest. I didn't hate her anymore. But I also didn't trust her. And now I was staring at evidence that could destroy her life. The same week, Claire called me. Said our dad was in the hospital. Stroke. Mild, but serious. She sounded fragile again. Said he kept asking for me. I didn't respond. She said, please, don't punish him anymore. He's not well. I didn't go. I sent Darren with flowers and a note. I had nothing left to say to the man. A few days later, Claire showed up at my house. She'd never been there before. Not once. She was holding a manila envelope. Her hands were shaking. I need to show you something, she said. I let her in. She sat on the couch like it hurt to breathe. She opened the envelope. Inside were photos. Dozens of them. Printed. Old school. My mom. With another man. Not just hand-holding. Not innocent. These were photos taken over years. Different places. Same man. Same closeness. One photo had a date written on the back. I did the math. Claire would have been 9. Claire said, Dad found them last year. Didn't say anything. But he started drinking again. Quietly. This last year's been hell. I asked why she was showing me this. Because it was never about you. It wasn't even about Jeff. Our family was cracked before either of us made a choice. And I want you to know. I see it now. She stood up and left the envelope behind. No tears. No begging. I still had the offshore transfer copies. The evidence. The secret account names. I hadn't decided what to do with it yet. But something told me the story was just getting started. 2 days later, someone broke into my car. Nothing was taken. Except the folder. The folder was gone. Not the safe deposit box one. That was untouched. But the one in my car, the copy I'd been carrying with me for whatever reason gone. Nothing else was touched. My laptop was still there. Even a pair of sunglasses. Only the folder was missing. I filed a police report. Nothing came of it. I knew what it was. Someone had followed me. Watched me. Knew exactly what to take and what to leave behind. I didn't tell Darren. Not yet. I needed to think. Instead, I called Claire. She picked up on the second ring. Did you take it? I asked. What are you talking about? Don't lie. Someone broke into my car. Took the documents. Only the documents. I swear, I didn't. Did you tell anyone I had them? Silence. Claire. I mentioned it to Mom. I closed my eyes. You what? I didn't think she's been asking questions. I didn't give her details. You told Mom I had documents linking her to Jeff's fraud? Are you out of your mind? I thought maybe she could explain. I thought maybe we could. She's not interested in explaining. She's interested in survival. And she just buried me to save herself. I hung up. The next day, I got a letter. Anonymous. No return address. Inside, a printed photo of Darren walking into his nonprofit office. Taken from a distance. Blurry. Harmless, but clear. The message written under it in red ink. Stay out of it. I showed it to Darren that night. He didn't freak out. Didn't yell. He just stared at the photo for a long time, then looked at me. We need to end this. I'm not sure I can, I said. What came next happened fast. A few weeks later, I got a call from a nonprofit organization in Westchester that I used to work with. They were holding a fundraiser. Someone anonymously sponsored a table in my name. Said it was to honor family legacy. The invitation list included several donors, city officials, and media outlets. I knew it was a trap. But I went. I wore black. Darren came with me. I told him to stick close. I didn't trust the air. It started off normal. Small talk. Canapes. Clinking glasses. Then just as the speeches were starting, I saw them. My mother. My father. Claire. Walking in together. Claire looked pale. uncomfortable. My father didn't meet my eyes. But my mother? She smiled. Not warm, not welcoming, calculated. She took the microphone from the event organizer mid-speech. Before we continue, I'd like to say a few words about family. Everyone clapped, assuming she was part of the show. She always knew how to play a room. We often say blood is thicker than water. But sometimes, even blood can turn cold. Sometimes, someone in the family forgets where they come from and makes decisions that hurt everyone. I stared at her. I could feel the blood pounding behind my eyes. Some of us tried to protect our family's legacy. Others tried to destroy it. I stand here tonight to say that we are ready to make things right. She turned to face the crowd. We ask for forgiveness and support, especially for my daughter Claire, who's been through so much. Gasps. A few people clapped. Then she looked directly at me. And to my other daughter, who thinks she's above us now, know this. You don't erase your family just because you think you're better than them. It was like the room froze. All eyes turned to me. Darren grabbed my arm. Let's go, he whispered. But I didn't move. I stood up, walked to the stage, took the mic from her hand. My voice didn't shake. You want to talk about erasing people? I turned to the audience. This woman, this family, cut me off when I married a schoolteacher. Told me I'd never be anything. They erased me. For over a decade, I didn't exist. And now that their house of cards has burned down, they want pity. I looked at Claire. She looked down. They weren't trying to protect anything. They were laundering money through nonprofits, hiding assets in fake charities and shell companies. I have the proof. Gasps again. Someone dropped their glass. They thought I'd stay silent because I had too much to lose. But the truth is, I already lost them years ago. I handed the mic back, walked off the stage. Darren followed. Outside, Claire chased after us. I didn't know she was going to do that, she said, out of breath. You told her I had the folder, I snapped. I thought she cared. I didn't think, you never think. You just survive. Like them. She started crying again. I'm trying to change. I swear. I messed up, but I'm trying. You always say that when it's too late. She fell quiet. My mom came out behind her. That was low, what you did. No lower than cutting off your own daughter because she didn't marry money. She stepped closer. You'll regret this. No, I said. I regret ever trying to earn your respect. I turned to Darren. Let's go home. The fallout was immediate. An article came out in a local paper. Someone had tipped off the press. The event was labeled a family feud turned scandal. Donations dropped. My mom's face was splashed across social media with the headline socialite or schemer. Claire lost her job at the community center. My dad stopped responding to messages. Probably too ashamed. Or maybe just finally broken. My mom? She went on a podcast to tell her side. Spun it as a jealous daughter trying to ruin her family. It didn't work. No one reached out after that. Not to apologize. Not to explain. Claire sent one final email. I'm leaving New York. I can't keep living in this mess. I hope one day you'll believe I meant well. I'm sorry. I didn't reply. I couldn't. Now? Darren and I moved. Vermont. Quiet house. Trees. Real silence. His nonprofit runs remote programs now. I consult for a firm part-time. Enough to stay sharp. Sometimes I think about what could have been. If they had supported me. If they'd treated love like it mattered more than money. But I also know this. The day I stood on that stage and told the truth, something inside me let go. The weight wasn't mine anymore. I don't need closure. I don't need them to change. I just need peace. And I have it now. Not perfect, but real.